Alright, hello, back again, and it is Demonic versus Splatted. Splatted is once again playing as Siren, and Demonic will be playing as the Aeon. So it'll be interesting to see if Demonic will try his strategy again, or if he'll try and do something different. So Vax, do you think Demonic will try the same tactic twice? Or do you think he'll expect Splatted will be anticipating that and try something differently?
You know, Baron, that's a really good question. I think Demonic, he gets on what I call kicks, where when he feels good about something, he'll take the same general approach. I wouldn't be surprised if Demonic doesn't try to get in his face. I would not be surprised if Demonic tries to move towards the middle elevated platform there. Splatted may try the same thing. I don't think Demonic's going to try and get all up in his face, but I certainly could be wrong. But I think Demonic is at least going to be forward a little bit. We'll see how it goes. I'm also interested. I wonder if Baron's going to open with air again.
Baron? Splatted, you mean?
Oh, sorry, Splatted. Yeah.
And we are just waiting for Splatted to ready up so we can launch the game. And they'll be launching shortly. And Demonic will be yellow on the top, and Splatted is playing as blue on the bottom. So yeah, I have to admit, I do anticipate Demonic pushing forward again with his, like he did the last two games. It has worked, and especially against a Siren, it really has an advantage, just because Sirens don't have many units that can just withstand that. Without tanks, their assault bots just can't meet the tanks head-on as easily as the other faction.
Absolutely, and it costs some 6 RP just to be able to whip out Cobras, the MMLs. So yeah, it really is challenging for Cybern to counter.
However, because Splatted might be expecting the same thing, Demonic could try and pull something else out, which might have just the advantage of surprising, just because that's not what he was expecting. But let's let the game show. Splatted is going up with a standard economy opening. He has 6 mass extractors queued up, whereas DaemonicSquirrel as well has the same opening. So we'll just have to wait for a couple more seconds until they get their... Oops, there they go. Okay. Research station by Splatted, and 2 land factories.
Something I like to call an early Cybern research station is the ticking clock to Megalith. Kind of the same way that a UEF player might spit out an early research station for a ground game they're hoping to tech to fatty. I think we can expect Splatted to play a stall tactic here to go for an early Megalith. Because that is one of your primary chances against a heavy Aeon ground game, assuming that the Aeon doesn't tech to a quick teleport. What are your thoughts? You think that's maybe the way Splatted would spend his res, or how else could you see him spending it?
Well, I mean, he could spend it towards actually a Cicada. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him use it, but a Cicada is can be a really nasty surprise because they're hard to take down, and just the units that they protect are able to constantly do their damage until the Cicada is down, and then only then can would the Demonic be able to target them.
You're absolutely right, and those can be absolutely vicious.
So, but I mean, I almost have to say, especially on a map like this, a research station is a must, just because unit to unit, the Siren in the early game just cannot stand up to the other factions, so he's almost forced to rush ahead to the more powerful stuff.
I like it. Demonic being a little more conservative. He is pushing forward. He's probably going to go for that elevated platform a little bit. Splatted's playing a classic Cybern strategy to send a little raiding party around to the side. I don't think Splatted's going to have a lot of success, but he could be interested in just primarily scouting. Although he does have the radar, so really there's not a whole lot of point to the scouting.
And we have two engagements going on at once. You have the bots in the back engaging the tanks moving up front, and you have Demonic, who is putting a long-range point of defense once again right on Splatted's doorstep. Splatted's desperately trying to get that factory up, and the point defense is now online.
Now, interesting. Let's see if Demonic Control K's the PD. I was wondering if DK was going to do this the last time, where he spits up a second PD. I think this is GG.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah.
You do see the NG of Splatted spitting out a PD, but that's just going to be that's prolonging the inevitable. Ooh, Demonic's got to be a little bit careful, just in case somehow Splatted manages to pop out Structure D, but he probably doesn't have the RP for it.
And yep.
Oh yeah, Splatted just gave it. Yeah, Splatted just Control K'd there.
All right, yeah,
that's really hard to counter. That is very tough to counter as Cybern.
All right, we're actually just going to move straight into their second map as soon as they get it online. It'll be QAI Labs, which I have to admit is actually an interesting choice for 1v1. It's a rather large map, even for a 2v2 game, and you can definitely expect air being a premise for this game, just because there's a lot of room for expansion, and therefore there's a lot of room for the bombers to prevent that.
What's the next map? QAI Labs, correct?
Yes. And I was just mentioning how I think we can expect to see a fair amount of air on that map as well, just due to its size.
Absolutely. It's not a large map, but because of the valley and the structure of it, the land units really do have a long path to traverse before they can put any heat on the other side.
And we are just waiting for them to get their next one up. I have to admit, I'm kind of curious if Splatted will decide to keep playing as Cybern, or if he might decide to try to go for a different faction. What do you think?
I think he needs to realize, so he saw DK, he's seen DK do the same thing twice, so he has to understand that DK has no reason to change his strategy. It's kind of like in football, they say, if you're the offense and you keep running the ball successfully, you know, you don't even need to switch to passing until they've shown they can stop the run. So I think if Splatted goes Cybern, I think DK is going to go Aeon, and he's just going to shove more PDs right in his face. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Splatted switches to probably UEF on this map, if I had to guess.
So far, by the way, Vax, the game is up, and right now Demonic has actually chosen UEF, and Splatted is still going Cybern. As usual, the pregame banter is always hilarious. Splatted is trying to get Demonic to control K right off the bat, but
I love it. I love watching it. This is an interesting map. I've heard some of the guys refer to this as just a large version of Marcon Bridge, where you pretty much have a bottleneck in the middle. And for most practical purposes, that is true. You just don't have to be worried about floating Aeon or getting hammered by Navy. Actually, a little bit of lore. This was my induction map into the EDC clan, Ace of Shenanigans. Once they inducted me, I had to play Ace on this map. That was a crazy game.
yeah, I have to admit, unfortunately, I've never had much experience on this map for a 1v1. I think I only ever played it once, and it was just when Iron Commander decided to pop on and say, hey, I could use some practice. I just kind of had to laugh at him when he said that, but...
Yeah, do you mean target practice? I get nervous whenever he asks for some practice.
Yeah, but I indulged him a couple of games, and one of the maps was this one. Due to the bottleneck, I was able to hold him off for a bit being the key word. But it's kind of hard to stop that rolling tide.
Yeah. Pretty much even relatively newer players, once you see this map, you pretty much know how it's going to play out. You either got air versus air or land versus land. There's not a whole lot of other options. Not a lot of distance, so it's hard to get sneaky.
Yeah, combinations sometimes work. However, I've also found just from watching replays, if somebody does a combo and the other person goes full one direction, the person who goes full air or full land tends to do better than the person doing the combo, just because it's really easy to gain superiority in the one and then focus on at least defending against the other. What have you seen, Vax?
You know what, I've seen exactly that. The other way I've seen is kind of the inverse of what you're describing, where you have both really good players. I believe I've seen Funkoff and Splatted play on this map, where the good players will actually split their efforts between land and air, and you actually have two completely separate wars going on. And since you've got top players performing it, you've got just the absolute best micro in the world. It's amazing to watch.
All right, Splatted is going with a 3 research station opening. I'm smelling a nano gun for that one, and DaemonicSquirrel is going for an air factory. So if Splatted is able to get the nano gun up, all you'd have to do is take a anti-air turret down or two to keep the air away, and he actually might be able to pull this one off, I'm thinking.
Absolutely. Kind of like we said before when we saw Heat Surge trying to recover from Demonic, bombers just don't bring a lot of DPS quickly enough into the game. Also, something to keep in mind is Demonic is not really going to have the option to switch to gunships because of Cybern Structure Detonate, which maybe when you're playing against random people on the internet, you can assume odds are 3 out of 4 that they're not going to know anything about it. But when you're an attorney with top players, going against Cybern is almost an automatic check against gunships.
All right, DK is sending in a player to scout out. I assume as soon as he sees those research stations, he's going to know what's coming. The only question is, how is he going to counter it? All right, yep, he sees it, and I'm kind of curious to see what he decides to do. His air factory has stopped producing units, and he is...
I would not... Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I just... he stopped producing units out of his air factory right away. And he's focusing on his one land factory. He's not pushing like that last game.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him spit out a few MMLs to protect against structures, and then I really sense that Demonic is going to hunker down, maybe even go for something like some Fort Arty. I think Demonic is going to kind of kick into turtle mode after he spits out a few land units, but I'm just guessing.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're right. He did spit out 3, now 4 mobile missile launchers, and he's moving his ACU towards the opening near the front of his base. Meanwhile, he has his fighter just circling the ACU, which I have to admit, I'm kind of surprised Splat is just sitting there with an ACU and an engineer. he now has 4 mass extractors, and is building 1 anti-air in his main base.
Oh, and Demonic's got a transport out. Very, very interesting. He's okay. He's going to MML drop. That's what he's going to do. Demonic basically hasn't seen any signs of air, so he's going to MML on the exterior of Splatted's base and take out the structures. I think that is a fantastic reaction to what he's seen. I think that is just such a fundamental demonstration of how powerful scouting is.
Yep, there goes the anti-air tower to cover the ACU, and his ACU is shimmering, so he at least has the power shunt. The question is, does he have the nanogun yet?
The one challenge, or the one difficulty with
There's the drop.
Demonic's strategy is those MMLs are actually going to kill stuff relatively slowly. So yes, they will take out his structures, but Splatted's going to get another 5 to 10 RP out of this before those MMLs are done.
Well, however, he is bringing his ACU back to take care of them, which I have to wonder. Nope, he's just building the research stations a little further away now. And meanwhile, Demonic has 2 more transports, although I don't see anything in them.
I love what Splatted is nibbling it away at the MMLs with that engineer.
Very cute. There it goes a little more. That's some fun micro, I must say. You actually might get one of those at least. Alright, well, back over to Demonic. Looks like he's getting ready to transport drop 2 groups of tanks in with the 2 transports there, maybe. Now, I think it's safe to assume that Splatted now has his nanogun upgrade by now. He's had enough research stations online for long enough that I'm pretty sure he has it by now. So his tanks are now out of the question, I think, for Demonic. What do you say?
Oh, those MMLs are toast.
Yep, he has nanogun.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but those MMLs could have easily swung around to the right and stayed out of range of the ACU, right?
Easily.
Continued to take out the economy?
Easily.
I wonder if that was an accidental misclick or a pathfinding problem with Demonic's click orders.
Well, he's getting ready to drop some tanks in with that 1 transport. We can easily assume he's not going to make the mistake of dropping it on the ACU, because that would just get them destroyed. I think it's fair to assume he's going to try and take the rear base the rest of the way.
Agreed, and he's going to have to be really careful about structure detonate and be real careful with the range on those tanks, keeping them at max distance that he can for the structures.
Meanwhile, the engineers in the main base repairing everything. And his ACU is now pushing forward. I have to admit, one of the things I do wish they had included in was just the ability to see who is researching what in-game.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
And that transport is coming in. Yeah, he's going to drop it in the main base, so he'll take everything out over there, which, all things considered, was the right move. So it's just now a matter of can DK hold off long enough to trap the AC. If he can secure that rear base as well, there's not much Splatted can do except for hope for a mistake on Demonic's part, while he just builds up the forces to hunt him down.
Demonic's being nice and careful about that structure detonate. Ooh, he's getting a little close. He's getting a little close to those research stations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That got a few. I got 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, but I think he's got the rest of them. Looks like on the other end of the map, He's got a factory shielded with 2-point defenses, and he is building research stations as well. So Splatted is not going to be able to break through there very easily.
And especially if Demonic gets mechs guns, that's going to be real tough. Splatted not going to have a lot of
and
locations
he just
to go
got
to.
mechs guns. He just upgraded them. So yeah, I think it's fair to say, although it'll be a bit before Demonic can actually kill Splatted. I don't see Splatted actually winning it. Demonic's playing it nice and safe, and yeah. Although I do have to admit, I'm kind of, just maybe a personal opinion, by this point, once the Siren player has a nanogun and you know it, would you continue building tanks out of a factory, just knowing that they would become cannon fodder in any situation, or would you try?
You know, a long time ago, I was playing Splatted when he was experimenting around, and he actually teched to nano fairly quickly, but I had done a 3-factory UEF rush. Believe it or not, my 20 tanks, and maybe it wasn't Splatted, but it was someone from EXL, my 20 tanks actually took out a Cybern AC with nano. Because he didn't have any training on his ACU. So the Nano Blast took a long time to take out the tanks. I don't think I would continue to make tanks though in this case, given that Nano being as powerful as it is. And wow, apparently Splatted ripped through those PDs. Oh, Mech's guns are ripping him apart.
As well, and he's low on health. It looks like he has the knockback researched as well. Ooh, this will be a close one. Yeah,
Splatted trying to get all the hits he can in.
Yeah, it's just Splatted ACU. He's got that one mech in that group of tanks coming in from the rear. And yeah.
Splat gave it a good run, but I think that's GG.
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, it looks like he's going to do it. Just drop a transport of tanks right on him. Because he's got next to no health left. Yep, here it comes.
I'll be right back.
And he's dropped 5 tanks on the ACU. Which actually was not quite enough to finish the job. So Splatted still hanging in there. Although it looks like Demonic is... yeah, Demonic's going to drop his ACU down next to him. It'd be interesting to see if this one actually results in both ACUs getting blown up. I actually think Demonic's ACU has enough health left to survive it. And yes, DaemonicSquirrel survives the nuclear explosion. And that means that Demonic has won 2 games out of 3, and he will proceed to the finals. I have to say, very interesting move on Splated's attempt to, with the nanogun attempt. It was very close, and it's the fact that Demonic was able to scout first and see it coming, that he was able to turtle up in his main base and survive it. If he had actually pushed ahead like he had in the previous 2 games, it would have been probably a whole different story, just because he would not have been in any good position to hunker down. So I'm going to sign off and come back in a couple seconds, or about a minute or 2, once the finals come online, which will be DaemonicSquirrel versus either Funk Off or